Hey guys. So the Bill of Rights is only 10 amendments long, but some of them are pretty in depth. So we're not going to try to tackle them all today. We're going to take it a little bit easy. So I'm going to post the slides and a little bit of a lecture. And then you're going to have a little more lecture tomorrow after you take your little tiny 10 question quiz. So let's hop right in and look at the Bill of Rights. So First Amendment's actual text is Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. What does this mean is the good Lutheran question to ask. And I'm glad that I can tell you what that means. We're going to look at it clause by clause. We're going to break it down. So Amendment 1's first clause is that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Remember, we had been, before the Revolution, part of England, and England had established the Church of England. They had an official state religion. And if you remember the whole Bloody Mary debacle, Mary Tudor and whatnot, you had kings and queens who were kind of like wiping out people who were like the wrong flavor of Christian or any other religion for that matter. So not just, it wasn't enough to be a Christian, you had to be a certain denomination of Christian, specifically Anglican, Church of England. And so what this does is, and a lot of people get this twisted, it's not freedom from religion. It's freedom of religion, meaning that the government can never pick a specific religion and say, this right here is what everyone has to be, or there will be legal penalties. And so we can say, historically speaking, we are a Christian nation, but at no point was there a time in American history where we're like, and now you must be Christian, or we're going to throw you in jail, or we're going to kill you, or whatever it is. So there will never be an official government-sponsored religion in the United States. That's what that clause means. So that's called the Establishment Clause because it talks about establishing an official religion for the United States and says that it can't happen. Now, additionally, it says Congress will make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That means that the government can't stop you from practicing the religion that you choose to practice your way. It's called the Free Exercise Clause. But like many of the other rights guaranteed to you by the Bill of Rights, by the founders of this country, the framers of the Constitution, these have been nibbled away at, and some of your rights have been kind of diminished. Now, some of them necessarily so, some of them unnecessarily so, and of course it is going to be a matter of your opinion whether or not it is necessary or not. But fine print now applies to this clause like many others, and certain religious practices are illegal or otherwise curtailed. What does that mean? Well, if you're like, I am a member of the I like to stab people with a fork and sacrifice them on a barbecue grill religion, we will say that's awesome. You can totally do that, but you need to use tofu or like maybe like a frozen turkey, that kind of thing. So we kind of, as Americans, have decided that while it says the government cannot stop you from practicing your religion your way, we've kind of put what we consider to be reasonable kind of rules on that and said, okay, in so much as you cannot harm other people, you cannot torture animals. If your religion includes things of that nature, you're going to need to find something else to do. You can still have your religion, but you can't practice it exactly the same way. No human sacrifice. Sorry, bub. Now, Amendment 1 continues that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. The government cannot censor or silence you. This is called the Free Speech Clause, but fine print applies because certain types of speech are now illegal, regulated, or curtailed. Specifically, this is like you can't yell bomb in an airplane. you can't yell fire if you're in a crowded movie theater where you could cause a stampede and people could be crushed to death. You're like, that totally can't happen. I can totally talk there like a rock concert for the Who where it happened. There was a soccer match in England where 93 people were crushed to death by a crowd. And that was just a crowd trying to see a soccer match. That was not there's a fire, we need to escape. So yeah, anything that's going to cause public endangerment like that, or incite a panic, or incite a riot, those things are all limited now. Additionally, if you're I'm going to call you a terrible name. Yes, you do have that right, but there are certain words that we now consider to be fighting words, is what the Supreme Court ruled, where I can say that word, but then if you punch me in my face, I had the freedom to say it, but it was not a good choice. And so the consequences are kind of on me. So there you go. It says Congress will make no law abridging the right of the people peaceably to assemble. And this is one where in recent years, you've seen a lot of protesters get this one wrong. This means that as long as your gathering is peaceful, even if you're protesting what the government is doing, it's allowed. This is called the Free Assembly Clause. You have the right to assemble. This is kind of, this is in the news right now because people are protesting stay-at-home orders. But fine print applies to this now. And basically, certain locations, behaviors, etc., are illegal or prohibited. So, for example, if you decide to protest and you block a sidewalk or a street, if you interfere with what's called the right of way, that is illegal. Most cities and municipalities require a permit to lawfully protest. That way they know to have law enforcement ready to intercede if there's a counter protest or something like that. So you may need to file paperwork to have a lawful protest, even if it's peaceful. And other things if a state of emergency has been declared by your governor, in all the states right now because of coronavirus, then they can say because of public health concerns, you don't have your normal right to peacefully assemble because it's not safe. Now, they can't do that just on any given day, but in a state of emergency, remember the governor is the president of his state or her state. And so during a state of emergency that they've declared, they have a lot more power than they normally would. So there's that kind of issue as well. Additionally, peaceably. As soon as your protesters start to fight with anybody, it's illegal and everybody can go to jail. Now, last part of the First Amendment is that Congress shall make no law abridging the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. A redress means that the government is going to put things right. Grievances are complaints. So a redress of grievances is you say, government, I have a problem with this and you need to fix it because you're the government and you belong to me. And really remember, government in this country, we are a republic. We're not a democracy. We're not an oligarchy. We're not a monarchy, whatever. We're a republic. Remember, it's in the pledge. So government rules by consent of us, the governed, meaning if we don't consent, they can't govern. Government comes from us. They are not over us. So this means that if there's a problem, we have a right to address the government and say, look, dudes, you got to fix this. So that's the way the redress of grievances works. It means you can call on the government to respond to your complaints and remedy them if your complaint is valid. If you're I think everybody should have a swimming pool full of potato soup in their backyard. Okay, you have a grievance, but it's not a valid one. It's dumb. So this is called the petition clause. Now, fine print now applies. In most cases, petitions to be considered valid need 100,000 signatures in 30 days. Now, it is available online now through things like change.org, but you still doesn't mean that even with your 100,000, it's going to be considered valid. If you go on change.org, some of the weirdest ones. I do have a link posted for you underneath this slide in the speaker notes. There's 5 rejected really weird White House We the People petitions. Like there was one where people were like, build a Death Star. And they had to be like, no. So just because you have your 100,000 signatures doesn't mean it's, they're going to do what you want. It means that if you get those 100,000 signatures within a month, then they have to address it. It doesn't mean the president. It just means that like one of the president's staff members has to come out and be like, type. No, we are not building a Death Star. Sorry, president says no. Whatever. So, I mean, you may not get your way, but it allows for that communication between government and the governed. So there you go. Second Amendment is, in terms of its actual words, very, very short, especially compared to the rather long First Amendment. But it has probably generated more controversy and had more words written about it than any of the others. Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What does this mean? Well, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. What that means is that citizens of fighting age should be ready, if able, to fight if necessary in order to maintain the safe existence of a free nation. In other words, if you are old enough and physically capable enough, you should be ready to take up weapons to defend this country against any enemies, foreign or domestic, meaning out there or in here. So, second part, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That means that citizens of fighting age have the right to keep and carry weapons of war, and that this right cannot be legally diminished by the government. Now, some fine print does now apply. Regulation, sometimes common sense, sometimes extreme, has occurred. And the sense or severity is often a function of geography. Chicago and Washington, D.C. have some of the, and New York City have very draconian, very, very strict anti-weapons laws. And for whatever reason, like Chicago has one of the highest murder rates, even with some of the most stringent laws against this. Because remember, we'll talk about this one more later. So there we go. We're going to stop right there for today. Amendment 3, we're going to get a bunch of them done on Wednesday because a lot of them go really, really quickly. Like, one of them's like, don't let soldiers be in your house unless you say it's okay. And that's pretty much all there is to say about it. So there you have it. Bill of Rights. It's important. We're going to learn about it. It's going to be great. Glad to be back, guys. Have a good one.